How did you find out you were getting cheated on? He gave me his phone to hold while he was having a minor medical procedure. And while in the waiting room, a text came through. It said something like, "Ha, so we can do the deed again?" And I was totally confused. So I scrolled up through the text string and read, "I'm sorry if you feel guilty, and no, I'd only feel guilty if I still loved her, and that was the end of that relationship." I was pregnant and they were doing the standard tests including STDs, and I tested positive for chlamydia. I was so embarrassed, but glad to have found out, because it turns out that can really mess up a pregnancy. Still took me another year to file for divorce though. Edit. Since this seems to have confused many people somehow. I was married. My husband got caught cheating on me while pregnant. I forgave him. He came clean. I forgave him and he did it a few more times and we got a divorce. I don't know how this implies that I had a kid by another man. Don't wipe properly. Did but stuff. Had a false positive. Went on a solo road trip to Ca from NY. My then BF of 5 years was supposed to fly to San Diego when I arrived. Then we'd drive home together, pick him up from the airport, use his phone to pull up directions for our restaurant reservation. He gets a notification from a social media he must have forgotten to delete. I ask him about it. He grabs his phone and deletes the app, says it would hurt me more to read the conversations he'd been having with women, and that I'm obviously going to dump him either way, so he wanted to save himself the embarrassment of getting exposed. I made him call his mom and arrange to have his stuff moved out of our apartment, told him to find his own way home, finished the road trip home without him. When I got home it was like he'd never lived there, exactly how I wanted. Two interesting ones from close friends. Friend's neighbor looked into her house from the second floor and saw him fucking the nanny. They are currently in divorce proceedings, though he's still dating the nanny. The more interesting one is a friend was headed to Thanksgiving with her husband when she got a text from a woman saying, "Your husband has been fucking me and several other women," then gave a list of the women. She was aghast, not sure what to do. Then the woman sent pics as evidence. The woman was pissed as he had promised her he would spend Thanksgiving with her instead of his wife. My friend divorced him. Her roommates called then asked me to meet them for lunch. Said it was important. I met them and they told me she had been cheating on me with her ex the entire time I was deployed. They showed me pictures back when you had to get pictures developed. They said I was a good man and I didn't deserve to be treated like that. They had collected my things that morning when she left for work and gave them to me. I drove to her work, walked up to her, showed her the pictures and demanded the ring back. She gave it to me and I left. Later she called me yelling about me conspiring with her roommates, basically trying to make it my fault. She asked what I was doing meeting with them. I said, "It's called respect and closure and it sounds like this." I unplugged the phone landline, waited an hour, plugged in the phone and called the phone company. Said I needed to change my number and never heard from her again. I took it really rough and am thankful for her roommates and the friends that got me through probably the darkest time of my life. My ex-wife had that part covered. Had the affair with a guy in a city 45 minutes away and snuck onto his social media accounts and blocked me so would never accidentally cross paths. Typical dude isn't gonna look at that stuff. Maybe a good idea to look at that list sometimes. Edit. For everyone curious about how I caught her. She thought out a lot of it, excuses, logistics, and she's a fantastic liar. But she screwed up on little things and she's disorganized with her stuff in general, like kind of a slob. There was a bag she took to a friend's house that she never unpacked. It was actually sitting open in the closet and I looked down in it while hanging something up. And there was a sex toy plainly visible. I started snooping after that and found some other signs. Of course I started going through her Facebook feed from my account and I noticed a few times she tagged someone in a post, but the name wasn't the link and he didn't show up when I searched him. She admitted that she blocked me from his account after I was confronting her about everything. I had basically deleted Facebook years earlier, scrubbed some personal info, and hadn't been on it in years. But it still had my picture and said I was married to her, so she didn't try messing with it. On my end, figured the odds that I would snoop were low and she would have been right if she hadn't screwed up. She really wanted to make sure the other guy didn't come across my profile, considering how many mutual friends the wife and I had. This was a long time ago, before social media. I went to check my email on his computer and his instant messenger popped up. His ex-girlfriend couldn't wait to finally see him next week. That long distance has been awful and can't wait to reconnect. He told me they broke up. They did not. He did not tell her about me or that we were living together. I was suddenly homeless. She did fly in the next week and gave the ring back. I did not know they were engaged. Thought they had broken up. Yay. Good times. Edit. Left off the part that I was supposed to be a summer fling, though we were in a motorcycle accident, which I had 5 surgeries and he had a new femur replacement. He somehow forgot to tell his fiancée about my part in this and the subsequent lawsuit. I had a lump appear on my dick. It grew bigger and very painful to the point I was crying myself to sleep. Went to the doctors and they told me I had syphilis. He had no symptoms and no sympathy. A week later we had an appointment at the clinic. We went to the clinic and got the needle. Then a week later the clinic called and asked if I had talked to my then boyfriend about his results. I called him at work and he said we will talk about it when he got home. I yelled and said tell me now. He had gonorrhea. He had gotten it in the week since I'd been to the doctors after he infected me. Once again, no symptoms. Cheaters are assholes. Cheaters who also don't use protection and infect their loyal partners are scum. I worked a lot to support my little family. She complained that I worked too much. I came home early to surprise her, but had forgot my key to the apartment. I called her and said surprise him home. She said really I thought because she was happy I was home, but realized after the fact it's because she had her boyfriend there once I got to the door. I knocked and knocked. I called her and she wouldn't answer. I was able to peek through a part of the blind to see her helping him climb in the hallway closet. I left and went to drive around. I was in shock. She called me wanting to know where I had went. She was in the bathroom. I told her I knew and she didn't confess until the next day. She ended up deciding she was too young to be a wife and mom and left us. I was 19 then and instantly became a single parent. Came home after working a 16-hour shift. It's 3 a.m. I sneak in without turning on any lights so I don't wake her. Her phone lights up. It's a text I wish you were in my arms again tonight. I recognize the number. It's my boss. She said I wasn't there for her because I was working too much. I was cover shifts for my boss who said he was going through some shit. I threw her out that night. I didn't even let her get dressed. Out the front door, naked as the day she was born. The regional manager found out and fired my boss. Then called to have him blacklisted at all the places he had sway. He threw a rave that I couldn't go to and apparently he was running around the party, high on Molly, loudly asking everyone how to get rid of a hickey. One of the DJs is a stand-up gentleman and a friend of mine, and he had the kindness to tell me. My other friends had their heads in the sand or elsewhere and didn't raise an eyebrow when they heard him talking about a hall pass for the weekend, which is definitely not what we were about. I can't believe I wasted so much time with that 35-year-old man baby who ended up fucking around with a 20-year-old meth-faced chick, and then when she didn't want to fuck him anymore he got her bounced out of a club by narsing on her for her fake ID. I am so much happier without him, and am glad he didn't give me a ton of diseases. Husband came home and out of the blue said he didn't want to be married anymore. I was devastated as we had a 1-year daughter and I was just finishing up my undergrad degree. How could I be a single parent? Called my best friend for sympathy who replied what a sod. How dare he cheat on you? Talk about an $1 booted husband out. Kept getting hang-up calls around 3 a.m. every night for 2 weeks. Landline phone no caller ID. Very strange. Found out he was cheating with, you guessed it, the best friend I called that day. Found out it was her when I heard her parrot in the background of one of the hang-up calls. Don't know which I was maddest at, her or him. Good riddance to both. Divorcing him was one of the best days of my life. I met my soulmate 2 years later, who adopted my daughter, and thus demoted ex-husband to whom my daughter 35 years later still refers to as the sperm donor. Kind of funny, but we just had a wonderful night in with a homemade dinner and some games, and we settled in on the couch for some late-night trash TV. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this show, but in my area, the show Cheaters was a guilty pleasure of mine. We were about halfway through an episode when he excused himself by saying he wanted to go grab some snacks and drinks from the gas station. I innocently believed him, so after a few minutes, he had messaged me confessing to have cheated on me with a coworker. Just out of nowhere, no signs, no major changes in behavior, nothing. Initially, I thought he was joking, so I kept ridding him and not taking it seriously, until he became more insistent. He didn't stop seeing this person, even though he was remorseful and wanted to stay married. But the cheating continued. Many times over. He ended up leaving on his own. And it was the best thing he ever did for the both of us. Wherever you are in life, Tim, I hope you're happy and not the same person you were when we were married. I never want to see or hear from you again, but I am a very different and happier, healthier person than I was when I was with you. May you be happy, loved, fulfilled, and respectful in your relationships. And stay the fuck away from me and my family. Had a gut feeling something was going on and checked my security cameras. Her coworker would come over after I left and they would spend the morning together. Not sure which was worse, that he was in my bed with my wife or petting my dog. We struggled for a few years after and she abused alcohol severely. I filed for divorce and 2 months afterwards she committed suicide. I've fully moved on and happily remarried. Dealt with a lot of PTSD related to that relationship, but I feel I'm in a way better place physically and emotionally. You should know that anytime you have thoughts of self-harm, there is always someone to talk to. Peace and love to you all out there. Was bored at work and loaded up Facebook for the first time in a long time. Saw a message from a year ago. From someone I did not know claiming her boyfriend had sex with my then girlfriend. I didn't believe her and asked my GF if she knew this girl and she said she hadn't. I told the girl I didn't believe her until her ex-boyfriend, who slept with my GF, messaged me with proof. Apparently, it happened right before my GF got into pharmacy school and I moved with her to a city. I didn't want to live and to work 2 jobs to support us. Confronted me ex when I got home and she admitted to everything. I asked if there were any others and she admitted she had cheated multiple times, with multiple people across the 5 years we were together. Friends of hers I had met and helped out multiple times. Every few months she messages me asking if I would ever imagine getting back together. No, I would not. College girlfriend. She said she was hanging out with her friend, Kenny. I knew Kenny a little bit and being a trusting guy, I didn't think anything of it. A couple days later I was helping her put her laundry away and found Kenny's shirt. She explained it away as innocent and I gave her the benefit of the doubt, as I didn't think anyone cheating would be that stupid to be caught cheating so easily. I casually brought this up to a mutual friend, the girl. Kenny and I was still a little suspicious. They were like, Yasha's definitely banning Kenny and has been for your entire relationship. Apparently everyone knew except me and my friends just didn't know how to tell me. To this day, I still think my friends not telling me the girl was cheating hurt more than the actual cheating. I had a friend who wasn't sure what was going on with her boyfriend. I don't remember the particulars anymore, since this is their story more than mine. But he had told her that he needed a day to himself and was just going to hang out at his apartment. She felt like he was cheating on her with some other mutual friend of mine. A friend of a friend, actually. Anyways, somehow I end up driving her to the friend of a friend's apartment, and lo and behold, there's the boyfriend's Firebird in the parking lot. I go to the door by myself with some story about forgetting something at her apartment. Last time I was there, she opens the door and I'm just slammed with the smell of sex. I can't remember what transpired next. I think I called him out on it, or maybe just too off, it was 20 years ago or so. Regardless, at some point there was a confrontation and I was like, it smelled like sex and they lampshaded me, saying it was a girl's apartment and they always smell that way. Never mind that he was supposed to be having an alone day or whatever. I actually lost a couple friends over this for making up stories about him. Whatever. She was really uneasy when I seen her message certain people, or her open snaps from people in front of me. I then had a few mates contact me telling me who was who and what she had been doing. I was with her at the point and she's crying, claiming she didn't know those people and whatnot. So later that night I go on her phone while she's asleep cause it's going mental with notifications, and find some guy ringing her and sending dick pics asking if she is able to get some time to send back. I dig deeper and find it's been going on for well over a year. Meeting her exes, sending nudes, sexting. Even went to meet a guy while I was at her house when she claimed she was going to the shop. I woke her up trying to kick her out, but she refused. Few days later she's shagging my friend and got a new boyfriend. After almost 2 years of being together. It's been nearly 4 years and haven't felt the embrace of another girl since. Downloaded an app onto his phone that retrieves all deleted texts within the last 90 days. This was after I was using a MacBook we shared for work, and he got an iMessage that said, "Okay, this is our story. If they ask why I sent you a picture like that, he worked with her and she sent him a spicy picture that their mutual co-workers saw her do. They all knew me as well, so I guess she made up a story. I confronted him, and he called me crazy. Said he loved me more than anything and couldn't even think of another woman in that way. Lol, I'm so dumb. I confronted her and she swore nothing happened and they were just friends, so I got suspicious. I bumped into her some time later and said hello in a friendly way. We chatted, and before we parted she said to me, "Has a really bad guy. I hope you know." I smiled, gave her a hug and moved on. I hope she's doing well. I'm not sorry about invading his privacy. It gave me the strength to leave. He was sexually, emotionally, verbally and at times even physically abusive. I'm still messed up because of the sexual abuse years later. It is what it is. 3 times different women. Overseas. I was overseas in the military and she told me after saying she has needs. So now I joke my dick couldn't reach across the ocean. Random thought. Was sleeping with her in her bed, woke up randomly, checked her phone, we had each other's passwords, and saw, "Hey babe, can't wait to see that sexy ass of yours again." No other MSGs and had notifications turned off. Still no idea why. How I knew to check at that exact time, but thank God I did. Didn't know. After we talked about being exclusive, found her talking to a dude on Tinder about meeting up in the reflection of my car window. On the way to a resort for the weekend, I wasn't trying to snoop, I was trying to be cute and make faces at her. I just drove her back to her parents' house and took my buddy instead. She claimed she didn't know I was being serious about exclusivity. Ditch, we have been at this game for 3 years. WTF, did you think I was joking about it? Was picking up on odd behavior towards me. I asked if he was okay a few times. Everything was fine, we kept going. One day I forgot to take my meds and was feeling so awful at work. I called to ask if he could possibly bring them to me since I couldn't leave to get them. He said no. That's it, and I was like, okay, are you okay? He said nothing. Obviously something was speaking to my soul because my next question surprised even me, and was definitely not really related except just that same feeling. He simply and out of the blue said, "Seriously, are you okay?" Nothing. Then it just came out, "Do you still love me?" He said no, "I'm sorry," and hung up. I sat at work for 3 more hours just bawling. At the time I had a 6-year-old I brought to the marriage and we had a 10-month-old together. We had been married 11 months together for 3 years. About a week later, as you can imagine, I'm frantically still trying to understand what happened. I got the cell phone bill and happened to actually look at it for once. There were so many calls to and from the same number to his line. Y'all know 5 minutes after I walked out the door for work, he worked nights, I worked days. 3 a.m. to 6:30 phone calls. I went and pulled all the previous months for that year, yep, the entire 10 months of my son being in this world, he was with her daily. I called him, he didn't pick up, so like someone that is legit just falling apart does. I yelled at his voicemail. We were taking turns staying in our home with the kids at this point. While I was looking for a home to buy, our home was also his mother's home. She came by like 1x a week to do yard work, visit the kids, etc. Yeah, I know. So when he didn't pick up, I went out and in my infinite wisdom, started yelling at her about him cheating. She stood there and took it all until I fell to my knees sobbing, and then she held me. Still love his family. His girlfriend moved in the day after I moved into my new home. The hardest part was she just stepped right into my wife role in the family home and all. She was also a friend, of course. They had a child together, and guess what? Yep, not with her anymore either. Has a great dad that supports his son and would move the stars for him. And my oldest didn't have a relationship with his father at all, so he asked if he could come stay with his brother every other time. It was hard with the circumstances, but they loved each other, so he went for visits too. So he'll let him have that great dad status. Otherwise, again, kudos to his mom and sister, because both also straight up told him he was screwing up a great thing and needed to get his head out of his ass. Gotta be honest, I was not expecting that 18 years later now, and I've been beyond happily married for 15, and even am blessed with 2 bonus sons. Never would have guessed it would all be so good in the end. We actually always put our kids first after the divorce and still get along to date, despite the past.